The Wolves Return, A New Beginning for Yellowstone National Park by Celia Godkin. On a moonlit night, a howl rings out across the river valley. The elk prick their ears. They have not heard this sound before, yet they are afraid. The howl is answered by another, then another. High on a ridge, the shape of a wolf appears. More wolves join him. The pack, now silent, moves swiftly down the slope to make its first kill. In the weeks that follow, the elk move from the valley bottom to the higher, more wooded slopes. The grazing is not so lush here, but in the shelter of the trees, they have a better chance to escape the wolves. In the following months, the valley begins to change. The tree seedlings, once eaten by elk, now have a chance to grow. In the space of a few years, aspen trees grow tall in the valley. Berry bushes are growing back too. Birds and bears feast on the berries. Beavers swim down the streams that feed the river. They find the trees they need to build a home. They fell the trees by chewing through the tree trunks with their sharp teeth. They build dams with chewed off branches packed with mud to hold back the water. When deep ponds have formed behind the dams, the beavers build lodges, beaver houses made of sticks. Here they will live and raise their families. Other animals build homes at the beaver pond too. Muskrats make homes like beaver lodges, using rushes instead of sticks. Muskrat homes make good platforms on which ducks build their nests. Other birds nest among the rushes bordering the ponds. A multitude of insects live in the ponds. There are food for many kinds of fishes. The fish, in turn, feed other animals. Otters hunt them in the water. Osprey dive on them from above. The herons stab fish and frogs in the shallows. The ponds are teeming with life. Once the river valley is quiet, but now the air is filled with the hum of insects. The reet, reet, reet of a chorus of frogs and the lute-like notes of songbirds calling to one another. Every year, birds fly up from the river valley on their spring migration. Before, there was a meadow. Now there are trees for the birds to nest in. The trees are homes to insects that eat leaves and burrow in the wood. The birds eat the insects and help to keep the pests in check. The wolves prey mostly on the weak and sick elk. This helps to keep the elk herds healthy. When there are no wolves, the elk herds had grown too big. Now the herds are smaller but healthier. Elk compete with bison for food and space. With fewer elk, the bison herds increase in size. When the wolves have eaten their fill, birds and bears come to feast on elk carcasses. Many animals benefit from the return of the wolves, but not the coyotes. Wolves attack coyotes. With fewer coyotes, their prey, rabbits and mice, increase. The rabbits and mice now become food for hawks, weasels, badgers, and foxes. As the trees and the bushes grow back along the river, their roots hold the soil in place. Water trickles slowly instead of rushing down the slope and washing the riverbanks away. Sections of the river become straighter, deeper, and narrower, with fast-flowing water and deep pools that shelter bigger fish. Elsewhere, where beavers have dammed the streams that feed the river, the water spreads out into quiet beaver ponds. The different habitats provide a greater variety of places for plants and animals to live. Who would have thought that the return of a few wolves could have benefited so many animals? The wolf in North America. In the 1800s, people from Europe spread westwards across North America. They encountered wolves everywhere. The newly arrived settlers that wanted to grow crops and raise livestock soon came into conflict with these predators. The wolves preyed on the settlers' livestock, and the settlers retaliated by killing the wolves. The wolf hunt was so effective that by the middle of the 20th century, there were hardly any wolves left in the United States or Mexico. Over time, people's view of nature began to change. With so few truly wild places left, they started to value wilderness and wildlife. The U.S. Endangered Species Act of 1973 meant that plants and animals under the threat could now be protected. In 1978, the wolf was listed as a threatened species in the lower 48 states. Many Americans now wanted wolves to be reintroduced into wilderness areas. In 1995, 13 wolves captured in Canada were released in Yellowstone National Park. The following year, another 10 wolves were released. The experiment was a success. From the original 23 animals, there are now about 100 wolves living in Yellowstone. We have learned that they play a vital role in maintaining the health of other wildlife. The return of the wolves to Yellowstone has had a greater impact than we could have predicted, but wolves are not the only factor at play. Weather conditions, forest fires, insect infestations, and other animals besides wolves may have significant impacts. Nature is complex, dynamic, and continually changing. We don't know what the future holds, but at least wolves have returned to play a vital role in a place where they have always belonged, Yellowstone National Park. Author's note: most large predators are under threat from human activities, yet, as Yellowstone wolves have shown, animals at the top of the food chain play a vital role in the health of the ecosystems where they live. Many other predators, including lions in Africa, tigers in Asia, and whales and sharks in the world's oceans, have similar roles to play. It's time we learned to value the magnificent creatures and find ways to coexist with them.